Jennifer and I fell in love at age 25, and we were married by the time we were 28. By the time we both turned 30, we knew we were ready to start the process of trying to have kids. Unfortunately, it didn't come as quick as we thought it would, and after a year of trying, we decided to go the IVF route with Carolina Conceptions.
We really wanted this IVF cycle to work, so we decided to put in 2 fresh embryos. And we were blessed when we got a call 2 weeks later and learned that we were pregnant. We were surprised when we went in for the sonogram that it was twins, but this was great news for us because we knew we wanted 2 kids, and so our family was finally going to be complete. Everything was going well for the first 20 weeks, and then at 20 weeks and 5 days at work, I noticed some spotting. So I called Tripp and told him we needed to go see the OB. So we met at the OB's office, and the doctor says that my placenta is coming out of my cervix, and that I had advanced cervical dilation and that we needed to go immediately to UNC Hospital in Chapel Hill. Things looked bad, and the only possibility to save the girls was to have an emergency cerclage. After that, I stayed in the hospital for about 4 days as they were monitoring me and giving me what drugs they could to help prevent preterm labor.
The doctors said that we could go home after Jennifer had the cerclage, but she was going to be on bed rest at home until we delivered the twins. After only 4 days, Jennifer started bleeding again, and we knew that we immediately needed to go back to the hospital. The doctors told us as soon as we arrived that we were going to be in the hospital until the twins were delivered. After being in the hospital for 3 days, things went from bad to worse. Jennifer's water broke, which led to some other complications, which led to a very serious infection. And the doctor told us at that point that we had no choice, that Jennifer was going to have to deliver. The doctor said that the twins were not going to survive.
My body had let me down. It was the cruelest of jokes to think that I was going to have to deliver Mary Edith and Ava, and I wasn't even going to be able to look in their eyes. It just didn't seem right. A mother should not have to do this. No woman should ever have to go through this.
I had to be there for Jennifer, but I also had to realize that she was about to give birth to our 2 daughters who weren't going to be alive. Leaving the hospital without the girls and coming home to an empty house was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with in my life.
I'll never forget walking in the door of our house and not having them with us and just having an empty belly, but no babies with me. From that day on, I knew that I had to be a mom some way or somehow, and that we were gonna one day become a family. 6 months after we lost the twins, we started looking into the March for Babies and decided that we were gonna join that walk in their memories. So we gathered up a team in April of 2012. That was the first time we walked with the March of Dimes in their annual walk. We raised a lot of money and had a lot of friends come out and support us in their memory. About 6 months after losing the twins, we started the IVF process again. The first 2 frozen embryo transfers were unsuccessful, and we had our last frozen embryo, which was technically supposed to be the least viable one. But on Tripp's 32nd birthday, we transferred that embryo, and 2 weeks later, we got the call that we were pregnant. And we knew it would be something we took day by day. This time, though, at 8 weeks, we immediately started seeing the high-risk specialist at Duke. At 13 weeks, we did find out that we were having a baby girl, and we were so excited. I had a scheduled cerclage. And then we also were going to start 17p progesterone shots. The 17p shot was developed for women who had had my situation. And I lived for these shots because every time we went in, it was kind of like it gave us hope for another week. After lots of prayers, lots of tears, and many, many trips to the doctor's office, I was able to carry Evelyn to full term to 38 weeks. And that was the best day of my life. Anxiety washed away and love just poured into my heart. And I was so excited to have a healthy baby girl in my arms.
After 2.5 years, we'd always known that we may have wanted to be a family of 4. And so we faced going through IVF again. And since Evelyn was the last embryo of the first round, we knew we had to go through it all again if we were going to possibly go for a number 2. And so we went through the whole IVF process again, which was very difficult, but we were very hopeful. It all came down to one viable embryo. There was only one. 2 weeks after she was implanted, we were thrilled to death to get the news that she was pregnant. And that pregnancy mirrored the exact same pregnancy as Evelyn. The only thing that ended up different about this pregnancy was that we got the news that it was a boy. And so James Parker Lumpkin IV, aka Parker, was born. As we grew with March of Dimes, and we've been doing the march for 8 years now, and raised a lot of money for March of Dimes, that money goes towards the research that March of Dimes does to prevent preterm labor.
Some of March of Dimes' research included the 17p progesterone shots that I took to prevent preterm labor. It's drugs like these that are going to give mothers the chance to have babies born at full term.
So supporting the March of Dimes is something that we will do for the rest of our lives, and will always be a way that we can remember Ava and Mary Edith.